Let's take a look at this equation. It's in standard form. That means it's got something times x plus something times y equals another number. And when we have something in standard form, we want to use the intercepts method, which is a version of the t-table. So we'll take x and y, but we'll put a 0 in for x and we'll also put a 0 in for y. And what that means is I'm going to take this 0 here and I'm going to take it and put it in for x. And when I do that, negative 3 times 0 is going to be nothing. Now I've got something left that's going to kind of drive me a little bonkers, but I'll say 6/9 or 6y equals 9. I'll divide both sides by 6, and y is going to equal 9/6. And that's kind of hard to understand for some people until they simplify it, and y is equal to 3/2, which we could think of as 1.5, right? So we can put 1.5. We're not scared of no stinking fractions. Now I'll take the 0 in, and instead of putting it in for x, I'll put it in for y. And that means this thing here, this whole coefficient and variable, will go away. And I'll have negative 3x equals 9. Divide both sides by negative 3. And I'll have x equals negative 3. Now I can graph my two ordered pairs. I'll graph 0 over 1.5 up, and 1.5 is going to be right smack dab between 1 and 2. And then I'll go negative 3 over and 0 up. Don't go up. And put that dot there. Once I've got those two dots on my graph, I'll connect them with the straight line. And be sure to put the arrows on the end of it because it's infinite. This next one on number 9 is not in standard form. It's in the other form. We'll learn what that is later. But let's go ahead and graph it with our t-table. And you know how I always put in a 0, 1, and 2 on that left side? I choose to do that because those are the easiest numbers. So I put in 0 for x, so I have negative 3 times 0, and that's 0. So I'll write a 0 there. Then I'll put 1 in for x, so I'll have negative 3 times 1. That's negative 3. I'll put a 3 in there, negative 3. And then I'll have negative 3 times the 2, and I'll have negative 6. And I'll put a negative 6 in there. Now I'll go to my graph and graph those points. I'll graph 0, 0. That's not very hard. I'll graph 1 over 3 down. That's right there. And then I'll graph 2 over 6 down. That's 4, 5, 6. I'll connect those points with the straight line. And I'll make sure that I put arrows on the end because they're infinite. Now we're going to get to some problems that are a little more challenging. Hopefully take you a little step further, because not everything is quite so easy. So I remember standard form. Let's make that a capital B. And I know my other form is, well, I've got a y equals something times x plus something else, okay? Well, if I look at this equation, I can think of it in two ways. Well, I could move this negative 2 over here, and then I'd have something times x plus something times y equals another number. That would be standard form. On the other hand, I could just move the y over here. Now that would leave me with a negative y equals, and I'd probably want to divide by negative 1, but I could also get it into this form. I'm going to choose to go with standard form though, Because standard form, I think, is easier. You can take and just graph it with 2 points, and you don't need 3, and that to me sounds shorter. So I'm going to manipulate the equation first, so let me write that down here. I have negative 2x plus negative 2 plus y is 0. And remember what I said, I'm going to move that negative 2 to the other side by adding 2 to both sides. This will cancel out, and now I'll have negative 2x plus y equals 2. And if I look up to the top here where my standard form is, I'll see I've got something that's in that form now. So I'll put a 0 in for x. That causes this value to go negative 2 times 0. That's gone. So y is 2. Then I'll take and put a 0 in for y. And that makes that y go away because it's nothing. It's 0. And negative 2 times something is 2. That must be a negative 1. Now I'll graph my 2 points on the line. I'll go 0 over 2 up. That's the y-intercept. And I'll go negative 1 and 0 up. That's the x-intercept. I'll connect those 2 points with the straight line. I'll put arrows on both ends. And I've graphed that equation.